What's going on, everyone? This new look Lakers roster, I think, has the potential to be absolutely terrifying. I mean, you look at all of the talent front to back on this roster, you can make an argument for like the 11th guy to start on this roster. I mean, obviously you have D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reaves, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. You can make an argument for Jackson Hayes and go big, Torian Prince, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, right? Like, there's so many endless possibilities and lineups, and even like the bench unit, right? So, like, let's say it's D'Lo, Reeves, Vando, LeBron, and AD as the starters. The bench unit is going to be very good. You're talking about a potential bench unit of, let's say, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Torian Prince, Rui Hachimura, and Jackson Hayes. Or you could go Cam Reddish over a Max Christie. Like, this roster it's unfair. Like, the depth and the talent. And yes, they need to build the chemistry. They need to build the camaraderie. They need to build just the culture and the main structure and really kind of build that relationship with each other. But the beautiful thing is that the core guys have already been there and played together, right? They're just adding on what they already started to build. Now, they weren't a full season together, right? Because most of the guys came on the trade deadline, but you still have, Austin Reaves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell, and you can even add Max Christie to that mix. So that's 7 of your, 14, 15 guys that are going to be on this roster are all have that, 50 games or whatever they played, 40 games together, and practices and things like that. And they'll have a full training camp, a full preseason. And of course, I'm including the playoffs, right? Because they didn't play, I think they only played 8 games total, fully healthy, with LeBron, AD all on the court, D'Lo, guys like that. Also, guys were injured at that point. So you imagine other guys are going to be better. But in general, right, you have the foundation that they already started to build on. They went through a hard-fought playoffs together. And yes, it didn't end the way that we had hoped, but you can make an argument that the Lakers could have been on the other side of that sweep if they just closed better down the stretch. And that just came with the chemistry, right? Denver looked like a well-oiled machine. Lakers looked like they were struggling at times down the stretch. And that's because Denver had been together. This Lakers roster didn't. And that seemed to be the difference. Right? Well, now this Lakers roster is going to have that. They're going to be able to keep minutes low. They're going to be able to night in and night out put a competitive unit out there, even if LeBron misses the game, even if AD misses the game. This might be the deepest roster front to back LeBron has ever had, right? LeBron's had some great rosters over the years, but a lot of them were very top heavy. This roster is just well-balanced front to start. And that's not even to mention Austin Reaves getting the Team USA experience. And he is killing. I mean, he saved Team USA today against Spain. He's been amazing for Team USA. Steve Kerr, all the players, everybody has talked about the impact that Austin Reaves has had with that team. And you've seen it. If you've actually been watching the games, Austin Reaves, you can make an argument, has been their second, third best player. Consistency-wise, impact-wise, defensively, he's been a monster on the defensive end. And he was a good defender last year, but he's looking like a great defender. Now, granted, it's FIBA and it's not the NBA, but still, you got to keep in mind, he's playing against some of the top players in the NBA day in and day out, having to guard Anthony Edwards every day, having to guard Brandon Ingram and, Jalen Brunson and getting switched on Triple J and all of that. And he's holding his own and doing a great job defensively. There's the footage to prove it. You can go and look up the footage of Austin Reaves guarding Anthony Edwards and just making him work and making him take tough shots and making him turn the ball over and things like that. That's huge for the Lakers going forward, not to mention the experience. And yes, people look at it and go, oh, well, it's FIBA, but the world has changed. This isn't the world basketball 30 years ago, right? Where Team USA, you could have had college players play and they would have just ran through Team USA. No, this is the world is improved. The world is very good. And some of these teams, again, Spain was the number 1 ranked team, not USA. And Austin Reaves had the biggest impact that completely changed the tides of that game. Spain looked like they were about to just run away with it. Team USA just looked stagnant, looked like they were on a sinking ship. And then Austin Reaves comes in, and, he just turns into him and completely changed everything. And that is going to translate for the Lakers. So not only do you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but now you got a guy in Austin Reaves who may end up being all-star level. I think it'll be hard for him to make the all-star just simply on just all the guard talent that's in the Western Conference. But you never know. I mean, like an injury or two or, something along those lines, or a guy that just decides to sit out just to rest, like, he's got an ailment or something. Austin Reaves could step in. But just because you don't make the All-Stars doesn't mean that you aren't to that level. Every year there's the snubs where it's like this guy easily could have been an All-Star and there's a real argument for it. And he does play for the Lakers, so the fan base is very strong. There have been several players that the Lakers have almost gotten into the All-Star and weren't as good as Austin Reaves has been. So I could see something like that. But in general, even beyond Austin Reaves, don't get me wrong, is going to be a big factor. And I think you can make an argument he may end up being the biggest factor for the Lakers this year. But you have D'Lo, who could easily go get you, 15 to 20 every single night on efficiency, right? He shot 42% from three. Like, the guy would have been a 50, 40, 90 guy if he just, was better at his free throws, which is weird because he was actually really good for Minnesota and then came to the Lakers and just couldn't make free throws. He was making them, just not to the level that he was prior. Rui Hachimura is another guy that could go get you 15 to 20 on any given night. So you got three guys that on any given night, besides LeBron James and Anthony Davis, could consistently pump out 15 to 20 points, and no one would be surprised, right? No one would be shocked if Austin Reaves gives you 30, if D'Lo gives you 30. He did it last year. Rui goes and gives you 25 to 30. Did it last year, right? Like these are guys that can go and get buckets and play make and provide defense and do multiple things. Maybe not so much D'Lo, but at least he still is putting in the effort. He's trying. He's just not very good at it. But regardless, you got basically your core five guys that can impact the game on any given night and do it consistently if need be. And that's not to mention everyone else that's on the roster, right? Does Jared Vanderbilt really have an improved three-point shot? I'm not saying he has to be like 42% or anything like that, but can he just be like 36, 37%? If so, watch out. There's another guy that's probably going to give you 12 points a game just because teams are going to sag off of him and he's just going to get wide open threes all game, like we've seen with him. And maybe teams make that adjustment at some point, but then that means you can't double team AD, can't double team LeBron, you can't double team. So it's like, pick your poison. Like, who are you going to leave open? Well, okay, we'll leave Jared Vanderbilt. Well, the guy's, 36, 37, 38% from three now. It's like, good luck, right? He's just going to torch you night in and night out. Like, that's the difference with this roster. And it's like, okay, well, a big problem is like when LeBron's out, like the team just gets stagnant. So, well, now you have Austin Reaves who can play make and do it effectively. D'Lo who could play make, do it effectively. Got Gabe Vincent, right? Like, still the Lakers need another center. But beyond that, it's not LeBron James and Anthony Davis handling the workload night in and night out. And, and then that's the result. Like, if these two show up, we win, right? Like, I think this Laker team, if both of these guys sat out a night, I think could still win against most teams in the league. Because they just have that depth. They have that talent. They have guys like Reaves, Rui, and D'Lo that could kind of supplement and make up for the lack of scoring. Question would be just the defense and playmaking. But I think collectively you could get that. And again, I'm not saying like we don't need LeBron and AD. We absolutely do. We're not a contending team without these guys. But I do think if LeBron said, hey guys, I'm going to rest this year. I'm going to come back like 10 games before the playoffs. And then when that happens, I'll ramp up and then get ready for the playoffs. I still think the Lakers make the playoffs. That's how good and talented and deep they are with Anthony Davis. I think they could do the same thing like with LeBron if Anthony Davis isn't play. I think Anthony Davis has more of an impact, so I think it might be harder, but I think that they'd at least be a play-in team. So, yes, we go as far as these two take us, but not necessarily during the regular season. We need these two more for the playoffs. I don't think the Lakers are really going to care about seeding, but I wouldn't be shocked if they're the number 1, 2, or 3 seed. Like, I wouldn't. I think that they have enough talent to where even if they don't care about seeding, they're going to win a lot of games, right? Like, And so I could see them, and there's still a lot of question marks, right? Like Memphis, how well are they going to be able to weather the first 25 games without Ja Morant, right? And Brandon Clark is still going to be out, So how long can they weather that, right? They also lost Dylan Brooks. Yeah, they got Marcus Smart, but is he able to kind of complement that, right? Because he's smaller. Does Denver kind of take a bit of a step back? They lost a couple players, and you just have that, hangover from winning the championship. You always see, like, look at Golden State this past year, right? I'm not saying that Denver will end up being that bad, but, like, do they end up falling to, like, the 4th or 5th seed, right? Where they're just kind of like, we just want to get into the playoffs, right? Like, let's just, try to win some games, load manage. They lose a couple games that they probably wouldn't have lost otherwise just because, again, teams are coming after them, stuff like that. And then outside of that, it's like, does Phoenix, yeah, like, they could be great, but they don't have the depth, the size, and the defense. And we don't even know how well that's going to work. So that's a question mark. But let's say it does. Let's say it goes perfectly. That's still, like, even if they're the 1 seed, that doesn't mean the Lakers can't be, like, 2 or 3. The Lakers are going to be better defensively. They're going to have the defense. They're going to have the offense. I really believe Lakers will be top 5 defense, top 5 offense. The only team in the league that was that last year was the Boston Celtics. Lakers were 7th in offense and 5th in defense, or number 1 in defense, right? After the trade, post-trade, right? So can they just be two spots better offensively? I think so. And they'll probably still be the number 1 defense. So watch out. This Lakers team, they're going to cause some problems. I really do. I really believe that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Agree with me, disagree with me, somewhere in between. However you feel.